When you first step into the world of fitness, it's easy to be dazzled by shiny packaging, bold claims, and celebrity endorsements. The industry thrives on hype, selling miracle powders, revolutionary machines, and one weird trick headlines. I've seen countless products promise unbelievable gains or effortless fat loss, all wrapped in glamorous branding. But behind the flash, most of these claims don't stand up to scrutiny. The hype distracts us from what truly drives progress. In this presentation, I'll dissect the tactics that create confusion, show you how to spot marketing fluff, and guide you toward evidence-based practices. First, let's understand why hype creates serious problems for the average lifter. The downside of all that hype is that it leaves most lifters confused and misled. Exaggerated claims generate unrealistic expectations, and when results don't match promises, people become discouraged. Misinformation spreads like wildfire, with influencers promoting products that haven't been tested or are dosed far below effective levels. As a result, countless people waste money on supplements that add no real value or follow fad training programs that distract from fundamentals. The noise makes it hard to know what works. To change this, we need to examine how the typical lifter responds to the marketing machine. On the next slide, we'll look at the average lifter's behavior. Many gym goers fall into the trap of chasing the latest trends. They switch routines every few weeks based on what a favorite influencer posts or the newest supplement hitting shelves. This constant pivoting creates a vicious cycle of inconsistency and frustration. I've been there buying a pump product because everyone raves about it, only to realize it doesn't replace disciplined training. Following influencers blindly means you're outsourcing your progress to marketers. It's not wrong to look up to others, but if you don't question the information, you may end up spinning your wheels. Thankfully, there's another approach, becoming a no BS lifter. Let's explore what that means. A no BS lifter is someone who asks, "Does this actually work?" before jumping on a trend. Rather than being swayed by flashy ads, they seek out data and track their own results. They understand that effective training and nutrition are based on principles, not gimmicks. Becoming a no BS lifter requires a mindset shift. You need to be willing to challenge marketing claims, dig into research, and prioritize consistent effort. This approach leads to more sustainable gains because it's rooted in reality. On the next slide, we'll define what no BS actually means in practice. To be a no BS lifter, focus on 3 pillars. First, evidence-based. Rely on scientific research and real-world results rather than hype. Second, practical. Choose methods you can execute regularly within your lifestyle and budget. Third, consistent. Stick to your plan long enough to see results, resisting the urge to constantly switch programs or products. When your decisions are guided by these principles, you're less susceptible to marketing hype. Understanding this mindset helps us compare hype to reality. In the next slide, we'll contrast quick fixes with long-term progress. Hype sells quick fixes: lose 10 pounds in a week, build insane muscle in 30 days. These messages appeal to our desire for fast results. Reality, however, is slower and steadier. Real progress comes from consistent training, incremental increases in load, and patience. Marketing often distorts or cherry-picks scientific findings to make products sound revolutionary. A critical eye is necessary to distinguish between a supplement that improves performance by 2% in a study and claims that it will transform your physique overnight. By recognizing the difference between hype and reality, you empower yourself to make better choices. Now, let's examine common tricks used by the supplement industry. Supplement companies use various tactics to make products appear more potent than they are. Proprietary blends hide individual ingredient amounts under a single matrix, so you can't tell if you're getting an effective dose. Underdosed formulas include tiny amounts of popular ingredients just to list them on the label. Buzzwords like clinically dosed or anabolic window are used loosely without context. It's important to read labels critically and understand what effective doses look like. When a product doesn't specify the amount of each ingredient or uses vague terminology, consider it a red flag. Next, we'll discuss why buying more products doesn't necessarily lead to better results. It's easy to think that stacking multiple supplements will multiply your gains, but in reality, more isn't always better. There's a diminishing return on adding products, and some may compete with each other or simply be redundant. Adding new powders and pills won't compensate for a lack of progressive overload, poor diet, or inconsistent sleep. The basics, solid programming, adequate protein and calories, recovery and sleep drive the majority of your results. Supplements should fill specific gaps, not be the star of your routine. Knowing this, let's revisit what actually builds results. Real progress comes from training with progressive overload, gradually increasing the weight, reps, or intensity over time. Nutrition fuels this progress. A balanced diet with sufficient protein and calories supports muscle growth and fat loss. Recovery, including sleep and stress management, allows your body to adapt to the stress of training. These pillars account for the majority of your gains. Without them, supplements can't make up the difference. When these foundations are solid, adding a few evidence-based supplements can complement your efforts. That brings us to the next slide, which places supplements in context. Supplements are like tools in your toolbox, useful when you need them, but not substitutes for the job itself. They can enhance energy, improve focus, and aid recovery, but they can't replace consistent training, balanced nutrition, or sleep. Understanding this context protects you from disappointment. Before adding a supplement, ask whether you've maximized the basics. If not, focus there first. Once the fundamentals are in place, certain supplements have strong evidence supporting their use. Let's look at a few of those proven ingredients. Among the wide array of products, only a handful are consistently backed by research. Creatine monohydrate stands out for improving strength, power, and muscle mass. Caffeine is another proven ingredient that boosts alertness and performance. Beta-alanine and citrulline also have evidence supporting endurance and blood flow, respectively. When selecting supplements, look for clinical doses and transparent labels. Ignore flashy proprietary blends and revolutionary claims. Stick to what science supports. On the next slide, we'll discuss what ingredients to ignore. For every proven supplement, there are dozens more that promise the world but deliver little. Ingredients like deer antler spray, proprietary pump formulas with undisclosed blends, or products claiming to boost testosterone naturally often lack solid research. If you don't see multiple independent studies showing a benefit, it's wise to pass. Don't fall for marketing buzzwords like next generation or breakthrough. Ask, where's the data, and trust your own results. The next slide will help you cultivate this analytical mindset. To think like a no BS lifter, you must cultivate a habit of critical inquiry. Whenever you encounter a new product or training method, ask yourself, does this work, and what evidence supports it? Look beyond testimonials and sponsored posts. Seek out peer-reviewed research, talk to credible coaches, and test things methodically. Track your training variables and outcomes to see what truly makes a difference. By anchoring your decisions in data rather than hype, you avoid being swayed by clever marketing. Now let's reinforce that consistency is more important than any single strategy or supplement. In fitness, nothing beats consistency. Showing up for your workouts, eating balanced meals day after day, and prioritizing recovery is what transforms your physique. Sporadic bursts of motivation fade, but disciplined routines sustain progress. Even moderate effort applied consistently beats extreme efforts applied sporadically. When you build routines that you can repeat week after week, you remove the reliance on hype for stimulation. The next slide highlights how discipline trumps fleeting motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and like any feeling, it fluctuates. Discipline, however, is a decision to act regardless of mood. There will be days when you're tired or stressed and don't feel like training. Those are the days when discipline counts most. By committing to your routine and showing up anyway, you build resilience and keep momentum. Over time, the habit becomes part of your identity. Motivation may kickstart a journey, but discipline keeps it moving. The next slide reminds us that progress takes time, and there are no shortcuts. True transformation doesn't happen overnight. Despite what flashy ads suggest, building muscle, losing fat, and improving performance require months and years of consistent work. Shortcuts like crash diets or mega doses of stimulants often backfire or produce unsustainable results. Embracing the long game means understanding that small, incremental improvements compound over time. It's about training smart, eating well, and sleeping enough for years, not weeks. With this mindset, you avoid the pitfalls of chasing quick fixes. Next, we'll explore shifting your identity to support this commitment. To truly commit to evidence-based training, you need to shift from someone who works out to a serious lifter. When training becomes part of your identity, you're more likely to make decisions that align with your goals. It influences your lifestyle from prioritizing sleep to planning meals. This identity shift also makes you less susceptible to hype because you value proven methods over quick fixes. Once you see yourself as a results-oriented athlete, you gain a competitive edge over those who follow trends. That competitive edge is our next topic. In a world where most lifters chase fads, having a no BS approach becomes a competitive advantage. While others jump on every new supplement or workout, you're focusing on the fundamentals and using proven tools. This consistency and focus allow you to make steady progress while others plateau or burn out. By ignoring the noise and trusting data and your own results, you'll end up further ahead in the long run. The next slide outlines the standards that guide our philosophy. At AOF, we base our approach on three standards: transparency, evidence, and performance. Transparency means we disclose exact ingredient amounts and avoid proprietary blends, so you know what you're getting. Evidence means we use ingredients supported by research, avoiding marketing hype. Performance means we prioritize products and training methods that deliver measurable results. Following this standard ensures you're investing in strategies that truly work. On the final slide, we'll summarize the key takeaways from this presentation. To wrap up, remember that the fitness industry runs on hype, but your progress doesn't have to. Ask tough questions, seek out evidence, and focus on the fundamentals: progressive overload, nutrition, recovery, and consistency. Supplements can support your goals, but they're tools, not magic. Avoid proprietary blends, underdosed formulas, and hype ingredients. Build habits that align with a long-term view. Cultivate discipline over fleeting motivation, and identify as a serious lifter. By ignoring the noise and trusting what works, you'll make steady, sustainable progress and avoid wasting time and money on empty promises.